Hi guys, welcome to this beginner guitar tutorial on major scales. Today we're going to look at what is a major scale and how do we play it on the guitar. We need to get some things out the way first. These spaces that you see between these middle lines are known as frets. They are numbered 1 through to 22 on this guitar, but some other guitars have more or less. The other thing we need to clarify is a half step and a whole step. A half step is if I move from one fret to the fret next to it. So if I play this note and move to the note next to it, that is what we call a half step. If I move from this note, skip this fret and move to this note, that is what we call a whole step. We're ready to begin learning our major scale. What is a scale? A scale is basically one note moving through the musical alphabet and landing on that same note but an octave above. An example of this would be the chromatic scale. A chromatic scale starts on a note, ends on that same note an octave above, and hits every note in between. Let's look at the C chromatic scale. This is C, and this is also C. Now we're going to hit every single note in between. That is the C chromatic scale. The major scale is a bit different. There's a formula that we use. We use a combination of whole steps and half steps. The formula is whole step, half step, then whole step, whole step, and we end with a half step. This sounds something like let's look at the C major scale. We're going to start on C. We then need a whole step, another whole step. Now's our first half step. We need a whole step, one more whole step, and we end with a half step. If we want to go backwards, we start on C here. We start with a half step. We then do a whole step, another whole step, a whole step, a half step, a whole step, a whole step, and we're done. If we're ascending, going from this note to this note, then we start with a whole step. If we go in from this note to this note, we end with a whole step. Now let's look at some other ways to play the C major scales. There are many different ways to play the C major scale. There's the way that I just showed you, and there's other shapes and patterns that you can use. With guitar, we mainly focus on different shapes. Let me teach you one of the shapes that is more popular. We're going to start on the 3rd fret on the 5th string, and we're going to be playing our C with our 2nd finger. If you're unfamiliar with your finger names, it's quite simple. We have our 1st finger, our 2nd finger, our 3rd finger, and our 4th finger. So we're going to start on this C, which is on the 5th string, 3rd fret. We're then going to play the D, which is with our pinky or our 4th finger, and that's going to be on the 5th fret. So we have our next note is an E. We could play the E over here, but with this shape, we're just going to move it to the next string. So it'll be 2nd finger on the 3rd fret on the 5th string, then our 4th finger on the 5th fret on the 5th string. We're going to then go to the 4th string and play our 1st finger 2nd fret. That's the E. So we have whole step, whole step. Now we need a half step. We're going to move our 2nd finger down and play on the 3rd fret, but on the 4th string. We now need a whole step, so we're going to play with our 4th finger, 5th fret, but on the 4th string. So we have whole step, half step, whole step. We need another whole step, so we're going to just move our 1st finger down again. We're going to use our 1st finger to play the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Together this would sound. Now we need another whole step. This is our last whole step. So we're going to use our 3rd finger and play the 4th fret on the 3rd string. We then end with a half step. So we're going to play our 4th finger on the 5th fret on the 3rd string. Together the sounds. So that'll be whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, last whole step, end with a half step. You can hear this is exactly the same as the great thing about the shape is that you can move it around the neck and it'll always be the major scale regardless of which note you start on. Always remember that the formula for a major scale is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. It doesn't matter how you play your formula, as long as you play that formula. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this beginner tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you very much.